Well, welcome everybody back to the Flying Dog House. We're going to continue our North Carolina tour. We're going to depart coastal Carolina in New Bern, make our way through several navigational waypoints to Wilmington, and then our final destination is Brunswick County, which is just outside of Southport and Oak Island along the North Carolina coast. So let's have a quick look at little nav map. And let me move up the map here. Here we go. All right, so here's our departure point. So we'll make our way to the southwest. We'll stay away from New River Air Station and Albert Ellis's control airspace. So we'll weave our way through here. We'll also stay away from this military operations area. We'll turn back toward the Atlantic, head toward Topsail Island and Surf City, and then we'll turn and make a straight-in approach at Wilmington on runway 24. So we'll roughly follow the feathers in, but we're going to shoot a visual approach. And then we will make our way, once we depart Wilmington on our touch and go, we'll make our way over to the Cape Fear River, and we'll turn to the south and we'll follow the Cape Fear down to Brunswick County. So that'll be a very scenic trip here. There's a lot of things to see and do, and we'll try to point those out as we go along, as we have on the previous flights. And to that end, let's go ahead and jump over into the aircraft at coastal Carolina. So we're gonna use the X Cub today. So I have a fly in that. Get a little tail dragger experience in. And if you haven't flown the X Cub, I definitely encourage you to do so. It's a great way to get started with cross country bush flights, and also learning how to deal with a tail dragger. So, at any rate, let's go ahead and jump back over to coastal Carolina, and we'll get started. Okay, we're sitting at the end of runway 4, and we're going to do our next leg, as we mentioned, from coastal Carolina to Wilmington and then to Brunswick County. And I thought we'd use the X Cub. And to that end, let's go ahead and get rolling. I'm going to jump outside the plane. Alright, we got flaps set. Check on a couple of things before we go tearing around. Okay, so we've got the landing lights on too. Alright, very good. I think we're ready. Alright. Let's ride. Okay, we're up and away. And we got flaps up. And we'll make our turn here. Swing our way back around to the southwest. All right, we'll be on our way. And airspeed at right about 103, 104. And this particular route's going to have a lot of trees. So get used to green. So we'll make our way back over the Croatan National Forest. This is 3 lakes that are ahead of us. Ourselves reasonably trimmed out here. Get ourselves back to our plotted course. Anyway, the magenta line today is just more of a guide than anything else. Yeah, so it looks like our airspeed is kind of settled out at like 121, which is perfectly acceptable for the route. I think that will do just fine. And I believe this is Catfish Lake. Yep. That is correct. And I am not doing a very good job this evening in terms of following the line, but we'll just follow our nose. Get ourselves back on the course here. Let's see. Get the heading bug lined up here. Alright, that looks good. Altitude. Get that set as well. Yeah, about 2,200 feet should be fine. All right, there we go. We'll need to monitor our fuel consumption here. Right now we're on the left tank. And got about 13 gallons it looks like, so we'll keep our eye on that. And we'll switch tanks here in about 15 or 20 minutes. Alright, we are about 13 miles out from our first waypoint. Kian. Looks like we're good in terms of our pressures, and our airspeed is just below the yellow arc, which is fine. I just switched the right to the right tank. And we're just kind of making our way. So this is pork and chicken country, along with paper, particularly Weyerhaeuser, with a lot of tree management here in the area. Then we've got several marine bases here. So we've got Bogue and New River and Cherry Point, all with a very small distance footprint between. Some outer landing airfields used for training and exercise purposes. I'm really pleased with the X-Cub here. Making our way. Yeah, we're coming up on New River, so I am going to change the heading bug here to stay away from that airspace. There we go. That ought to work okay. We should just skirt that nicely. Yeah, we could jump outside the plane, look at the scenery a bit. And it looks like the sim is behaving nicely again tonight. So we'll be grateful for that one. Alright, we still come just a little more to the west. And then we'll turn back. So our navigational waypoint we had set, key in will be off our 3 o'clock. We'll just gradually work our way back over to the magenta line. Get a little bit further past this controlled space. Alright, so we can wave at all the Marines at Camp Lejeune. Make a little bit of a turn here. Our shorten the distance a little bit on our flight path. Very much a tourist area too, with the beaches to our east, Crystal Coast. Ocean water is a lovely color here. And our next navigational waypoint I had set up was to navigate us around the restricted area around Camp Davis. Once we get to that next navigational waypoint, we can make a more sharper turn toward the east, southeast. Put us in good shape for Wilmington. Winds today 278 at 2 knots. So we will land on, we'll touch and go on runway 24. And we'll make our way down the Cape Fear River, and then we'll reach our final destination at just outside of Oak Island at Brunswick County. So a number of things to see and do in the Wilmington area. So it's a large port in New Hanover County in North Carolina. And 2020 census had a population of 115,451. It's the 8th most populated city in North Carolina. And it sits between the Cape Fear River and the Atlantic Ocean. So the city of Wilmington has a very interesting downtown. There's a river walk. Takes you along the riverfront. Lots of interesting places to eat and shops to visit, along with the USS North Carolina, which is also located in Wilmington. operated as a museum. And there's also a very interesting bridge that goes over the Cape Fear River. It's the Cape Fear Memorial. So there are some add-ins available on Flightsim.to. I don't have them loaded currently. I haven't tested them yet in 2024. But there's some stuff that makes the North Carolina experience more realistic, and also that bridge that I just mentioned. I'll try to remember to drop the links to those in the description. So during the U.S. Civil War, Wilmington would have been a port location for blockade runners. They were responsible for transporting supplies from England. And Union forces did put in place a naval blockade to limit stuff coming in and out. Also, there is a fort that was built during the Civil War. It's Fort Fisher. And not too far from Fort Fisher is the North Carolina Aquarium, and it is a wonderful place to visit. I guess the other thing worthy of note with Wilmington, among a lot of other things that we could mention, would be that this is the terminating point for Interstate 40 in the United States. And that runs 2,554 miles all the way to Barstow, California. So there you go. It's a fun place to visit. And lots of beaches in the area to visit if you are a beach person. Alright, we are coming up on our navigational waypoint, so we can go ahead and make our turn. Turn back to the south-southeast. And we are on our way to Wilmington. And we're about 32 miles out from Wilmington. So a lot of this area is particularly a little further to the south, mostly swamp. And I may cut the corner here a little bit just to save us a little time. See the Atlantic off to our south-southeast. Our current course will take us fairly close to Little beach resort town, Topsail Island. It's also a beautiful place. Another little barrier island off the North Carolina coast. Along with Surf City. If you have a hankering for fishing, ocean fishing, this might be a good spot. Yeah, we could jump back inside the plane, just kind of mix it up. There we go. Okay, let's see what Mr. GPS has to say. So we're about 6 miles out from our navigation waypoint that I have set. Here, we're just kind of working our way over heading wise to Wilmington. Keep an eye on fuel. And we'll switch back to the left tank. We are rolling along nicely. Still in good shape as far as fuel is concerned. Okay, from Wilmington, what we got here? ILS is 111.55 if you want to shoot that at some point at your leisure. Glide slope is 3 degrees. And winds are 282 at 2. Yeah, the visibility out of the X-Cub is quite good. Alright, So we're still traversing our way over the swamp. This is the Holly Shelter Game Reserve. And we're roughly parallel to US 17, which runs up the eastern seaboard of the U.S. through a lot of coastal towns. You'll find a lot of things to do and stop and see along 17. Definitely one of the main drags through the Wilmington area. And several different beaches to visit close by as well. Wrightsville Beach being one, Carolina Beach for another. Each with its own set of sort of a unique vibe for each one of those. And also the body of water that looks like a river over to our 11 o'clock is actually the Intracoastal Waterway. So lots of boats and small yachts traversing their way down the safety of the waterway, and again, places to eat and overnight. Safely out of the Atlantic. Alright, we're intercepting our magenta line here, so we'll turn to 240. And continue to make our way. We are closing in on the feathers for Wilmington. I guess we're about 8 or 9 miles out now. And we're at a good altitude. We can continue at 2,000 feet here for a bit. Jump back outside the plane. So the Wilmington area is also home to the McGuire Nuclear Power Plant here in North Carolina. I remember going to McGuire, to the visitor center there. Our high school field trip jaunts. All right, so we definitely have the airfield in sight here. So we'll come off the autopilot here. back in the airplane and start run our prop RPM up a little bit and burn off some of this airspeed. Make our way in. Again, this aircraft is just a lot of fun to fly. It's very, very stable. Perfect, really, for this kind of stuff. I think we'll take it out west and visit a few United States Forestry Services airstrips. Might be a fun go in this particular bird. I think 2024 also adds quite a bit to bush flying, if that's one of the things that you're interested in, particularly with textures and ground physics and such. All right, we're at about 1350. We'll continue to slow up here. We're almost have our airspeed down into the white arc, so we can drop some flap here just to slow down a little more. Or we might not need to. All right, we'll use flap 16. And we'll keep it right here. Be in good shape. Terribly turbulent and windy today. It can be one of the challenges for coastal flying, right? With the variability of weather and wind. Afternoon and evening thunderstorms, especially in the summer. Along with the occasional hurricane. Trying to remember what the crosswind component is for this plane. I'm going to say it's like 17 knots of crosswind is about all you can get away with. I may have this one confused with the 152. Consult your pilot operation manual for further information. All right, so we're on the PAPI lights here. I think we're a little high, but yeah. We'll sort of aim for midfield here for our touch and go. There we go. Now we've got red and white on the PAPI lights. Just making our way. Yeah, this is another example of another airport where Microsoft has removed the trees from the threshold of the runway. So much appreciated, Microsoft. Keep up the good tree cutting work. All right, we are just gently making our way down here. All right, get back up in the air here. Airspeed up a bit, and then we'll come up with flap. Jump outside and take a look at the airport as we go over. Welcome to Wilmington. And here we go to downtown. I think we'll get lucky and I do have the North Carolina add-in loaded. I don't think I do. I'll test that out and see how it works in 24. We can do a revisit here. I love this area as well. Yeah, they also don't have the Cape Fear Memorial Bridge modeled in 24. It is in 2020. Yep, you can see the photo representation of the North Carolina just off our 3 o'clock. And this would have been the Cape Fear Bridge, which is probably not Microsoft's finest hour in terms of bridge rendering in 24. Did a good job of the bridge in New Bern, but that's nowhere near close. Alright, we'll make our way down the Cape Fear here. Turn our RPM up here a bit. So we're on the home stretch. So this is a major seaport. Very, very active today. Lots of container ships coming in and out of the port of Wilmington. And there's a fun little coastal town, Southport, North Carolina. They are famous for their 4th of July festival. And there are some outstanding seafood restaurants to eat at in Southport. As we make our way further to the south here, to our south and east would be Carolina Beach. Let's see. Turn my autopilot back on here, and we got our heading button situated due south. Ish. Get our altitude here, 2,200 feet. And if you do make your way to Carolina Beach, there's a must-do during tourist season. It's Britt's Donut Shop. It is absolutely outstanding. Been there for quite some time, so it's definitely a good visit. Speed, but I don't want 2,100 feet a minute. There we go. Futz with a heading button here. Yep, so do a Google search on Brit's Donut Shop. They make them and serve them until they run out. Been in business for about 80 years, I think. Ish. And if you go further south, away from Carolina Beach, you'll end up at Fort Fisher. And then if you continue south past Fort Fisher, then that will put you at the North Carolina Aquarium. And that will then give you an opportunity to take a ferry ride across from Fort Fisher over to Southport, which runs several times a day, operated by the North Carolina Department of Transportation. So that's always a good afternoon when you're good and sunburned from being on the beach. Take a ride in the ferry and go over and visit the aquarium. So they do wildlife rehabilitation at the aquarium, and this is an area for sea turtle nests. So they are protected, and there are light restrictions in place on the beaches. And it's quite an interesting sight to either see in person or watching video the hatching of those sea turtles. The hatching is called a boil, and it literally looks like the sand is boiling as they make their way out of their egg and dig their way out and then make their way to the ocean. So there are a number of really cool volunteers who work the beaches in this area to take care of our hard shell friends. And the nuclear power plant would be off to our 2 o'clock. And this is also a military terminal here. But the beach is absolutely gorgeous near the aquarium. It's beautiful everywhere, but it's very, very wide and lots of sand, and there are tidal pools to wander around in and discover starfish and sea anemone and crab and all sorts of fun things. All right, start making our way to coastal. Well, let's see, 279 at 2. Need to come in on runway 23. Oh. Anyway, I think you've gotten a good sense for what the Cape Fear looks like, so I'm going to cut off autopilot. And I'm going to make a turn here. And there's the nuclear plant. We'll start dropping some airspeed here. And we'll stay away from the radio towers. Just shoot the difference between that and this stack to our right. Can't have a beach town without not radio, and these are some cell phone towers too. We are progressing nicely. Airfield is in sight. And we will make our way gently down. So the port of Southport would be off our 9 o'clock. And that would be where the ferry would depart to take you over to Fort Fisher and the aquarium. That is a significant time saver to get to Carolina Beach, particularly from Southport, because otherwise you would have to drive around the Cape Fear and make your way through Wilmington and then come back down the island. So it's a significant distance. Well, that's one of the reasons why the North Carolina Department of Transportation operates the ferries. All right, we're making our way in. I'm just imagining being in the car on this road below us with the wife on the way to the beach. Beautiful spot. Alright, so this will be our departure destination for our next leg, and I'll share some information about Oak Island, and we'll talk about that on our next leg. We're a little bit high here, but we'll be okay. Too much energy conversating instead of aviating here on the approach end, but we'll be okay. Get ourselves away from stall speed. And we'll just settle right down onto the runway. We are landing long, but I'm not really worried about it at the moment. There we go. And we're down. And we got ourselves woed up and did not make ourselves a lawn dart, so that's good. All right. Welcome to Coastal Carolina. All right, if you haven't already done so, please like and subscribe. We'd love to have you as a channel subscriber. I hope you are enjoying the North Carolina cross-country trip as much as I am. All right, with that, I think we're going to leave it here. I hope everybody is keeping well. And until next time, cheers, y'all.